Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Maharaj.
Good evening.
Namaskar.
Yes, Manish Babu, namaskar. Namaskar.
Pranam. Pranam Maharaj.
Yes, Lita ji.
Namaskar, Swami.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Happy Guru Purnima for yesterday.
Yes. Guru Purnima, we shall celebrate it tomorrow here in the
Okay.
evening.
It's also a kind of Buddha Purnima in Thailand, which coincides with the enlightening of Buddha. So it's in Thailand as
Oh,
well. Today is Purnima over here.
also in Thailand, today is Buddha Purnima?
Yeah, they call it Vishaka Bucha, they call it.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening. Good evening to everybody.
Good evening, Maharaj.
Yes, good evening, Subhash. So this is the last class before the summer recess.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long is the break? How long is the break?
Yes, our next class will be on September 17th.
Oh gosh, that's quite a long time. Okay.
Yeah, because we shall be having our summer recess till 12th of September, Sunday.
Okay.
And next Friday we shall join. Okay. But I can give you some homework to keep yourself busy.
Okay.
One thing that the chantings that we have learned, you may try to, memorize them, learn to chant them, master the tune, how to chant it. So we have chanted 6 peace chants and also the ongoing 5 stanzas on Shiva Manasa Puja. The 5th stanza we shall learn today. These 2 you can learn to practice. Then you can have a, review of whatever we have studied so far. You have with you all the texts and notes that you can go through. So there are homeworks too. All right, so we are good to start.
Swamiji, are there recordings of the chantings, like on CD or?
Yeah, but there are many varieties of the chantings. Okay, so for example, the one we are currently chanting, Shiva Manasa Puja, I don't think I have seen or found any YouTube video which follows the way we are chanting it. Okay, so the best way is to go back to the class, video links, YouTube links, and practice from there.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
That is one thing. Good evening. Yes, good evening, Barbara. All right, so we shall start chanting. So about Shiva Manasa Puja, the one we are chanting, there are 2 variations regarding the 5th stanza. Okay, in some of the books, the 5th stanza is different. But the one we are going to do is attributed to Acharya Shankara. In some of the books, this hymn, Shiva Manasa Puja, the author has been, it is written, the author is Vyasa. Okay, but the general consensus among the Pandits, so I did some research on it, that it was written by Adi Shankaracharya. Okay, and the fifth stanza that we are going to chant today is the traditional way of doing it. Okay. So the two things, one is fifth stanza. There might be other versions, but this is believed to be the version that was written by Acharya Shankara. Okay, and the fifth stanza is Phalastuti, that is Phalastuti or Aparadha, that the main four stanzas are covered, mental worship of Shiva. Then fifth one is seeking forgiveness if I have done any mistake while performing this puja, even mentally. While doing it, if there had been any mistake, so it's asking for forgiveness. We shall see that. Okay. All right. So the fifth stanza is in a different meter. Okay. The meter is Malini. Malini is a type of chanda, the type of meter. The earlier four ones were Shardula, Bikritam. We need not go into them just for the sake of interest. Shardula Bikritam was the name of the chanda, name of the meter. And this one is Malini. So first I shall chant the entire stanza so that you can get a feel of this. It is a bit difficult. Okay. You get a feel of the meter, then we shall do as we do sentence by sentence. Okay. Oh, before that, translation we shall read together. Okay. Let's do it together. Whatever mistakes I have committed with my hands, feet, voice, body, actions, ears, eyes, or mind, whether prohibited by the scriptures or not, please forgive them all. Hail, hail, O ocean of compassion, O great Lord, O benevolent Lord. Karacharana kritam va kayajam karmajam va shravananayanajam va manasam va paradham vihitam avihitam va sarvam etat shamasva. Jaya Jaya Karunabdhe Sri Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Karunabdhe Sri Mahadeva Shambho. Now call and response. Karacharana kritam bhak, Karacharana kritam bhak, Kayajam, Kayajam, Karmajam bha, कर्मजम्बा श्रवणनयनजम्बा श्रवणनयनजम्बा मानसम्बापराधम् मानसम्बापराधम् विहितमविहितं वा विहितमविहितं वा सर्वम् एतत् क्षमस्व सर्वम् एतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो श्री महादेव शंभो. Now let's chant together. Karacharan kritam bhak kayajam karmajam va shravananayanajam va manasam va paradham vihitam va सर्वं एतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो. Now what we shall do, we shall chant all the 5 stanzas together. Okay, first 4 stanzas are alike, 5th stanza is different. If we do together all the 5 stanzas, then we shall learn better the difference between the first 4 stanzas and the 5th one. Okay, together. Ratnai kalpitamasanam himajalai snanam cha divyambaram nanaratna vibhushitam mrigamada modam kitam chandanam jati champaka villapatra rachitam pushpam cha dhupam tatha deepam devadayanidhe pashupate ritkalpitam grihatam Deepam devadayanidhe pashupate ritkalpitam grihatam shauvarne navaratna khanda rachite patre ghritam payasam Bhaksham panchavidham payo dadhiyutam rambha phalam panakam shakanamayutam jalam ruchikaram karpura khandojvalam Tambulam manasa maya virachitam bhaktya prabho sikuru. Tambulam manasa maya virachitam bhaktya prabho sikuru. Chhatram chamarayor yugam vyajanakam chadarshakam nirmalam veena bheri midangaka halakala geetam chanittam tatha Shastangam pranati stutir bahubidha yetat samastam maya sankalpena samarpitam taba vibho pujam grihano prabho sankalpena samarpitam taba vibho pujam grihana prabho. Atma tvam girija mati sahachara prana shariram griham pujate vishayopabhoga rachana nidra samadhisthitihi sanchara padayo pradakshina vidhihi stotrani sarvagiro yat yat karma karomi tat tatakhilam shambho tavaradhanam yat yat karma karomi tat tatakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Karacharana kritam va kayajam karmajam va shravana nayanajam va manasam va paradham vihitam avihitam va sarvam etat shamasva jaya jaya karunabdhe Sri Mahadeva Shambho jaya jaya karunabdhe Sri Mahadeva Shambho. So try to practice this in the summer recess. Now coming to our class. So Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada's way of divine love. Having stated the characteristics of this Para Bhakti, supreme devotion, now Narada wants to impress upon us the superiority or uniqueness of Bhakti. So we saw that since it's a Bhakti text, naturally Bhakti will be praised. And it is a good thing for a devotee to have the conviction that the path I am following is the best. But at the same time, best for me. If someone is following some other path and happy about that, it is best for them. And in Narada's worldview, Bhakti is superior to other paths. And we also saw that Narada says Bhakti is superior because it is the goal or result. As we know that in Bhakti Yoga, the path is called Bhakti and the goal is to have Para Bhakti, supreme devotion. And Narada is here speaking about that state, the highest state or goal of Bhakti Yoga, that is supreme devotion for God. So Bhakti, Para Bhakti, as the result, as the fruit, is superior to the paths. In that sense, it is superior to other paths. Not only that, it is also superior to Bhakti Yoga, the path itself, because it is the culmination of Bhakti Yoga. It is the goal, it is the destination or summit of Bhakti Yoga. And another thing we noted, that another unique thing about Bhakti Yoga is that in other paths, the goal and the means are not alike. For example, in Jnana Yoga, the path of wisdom, path of knowledge, the means are Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, reading, thinking, and meditating. But the goal is to have that ultimate experience or ultimate conviction that I am in everything. Everything is spirit. Me too. I am also spirit, and that spirit is everywhere. Sarva Atma Bhava. So the goal, to reach the goal, that is Sarva Atma Bhava, that experience is different from the practice of Shravana, Marana, Nididhyasana. In kind, they are of two different natures. But in Bhakti, what happens is, Para Bhakti, the goal, is different from the path, not in kind, but in degrees, because the path is also the path, the practice is to cultivate love for God. We have some love for God, we are trying to cultivate it. And the destination or the summit is to have supreme devotion for God. So in that sense, it is the bhakti is not, para bhakti is not as such the result like other paths, but it is of the nature of result, of the nature of fruit. This we saw last time. Then Narada here in Aphorism 27 will give another reason why Bhakti Yoga is superior, or the uniqueness of Bhakti Yoga. Ishwarasya api abhimana deshitvat daina priyatvat cha. So if we break down, Ishwarasya api abhimana deshitvat daina priyatvat cha. Let us recite this together. Ishwarasya api abhimana deshitvat daina priyatvat cha. Ishwarasya api abhimana deshitvat Deshitvat Dainya Priyatvat Cha. And the syntax is like this. Api Ishvarasva Deshitvat Abhimana Cha Priyatvat Dainya. Api means also, Ishwarasya, God, Deshitvat is averse to, Abhimana, pride, Cha and Priyatvat, fond of, Dainya, humility. So the meaning of the verse of this aphorism is also God is averse to pride and fond of humility. Yes. So what does this mean? So this aphorism is another reason why bhakti is superior. So there are two things here to take note of. One is abhimana. Abhimana means pride. Pride. So as we understand, Sri Ramakrishna, used to say very often that there are two types of ego: ripe ego and unripe ego. For a devotee, the ego is a ripe ego. That is a God-centric identity. I am a devotee of God. I am a child of God. I am a friend of God, depending upon what relationship one has with God. So that God-centric identity is called ripe ego. An unripe ego is that which separates us, separates me from God. Through how? Because the unripe ego is the result of different upadhis, different attributes that I associate myself with. And these upadhis or attributes or identities are all worldly identities, not related to God. So pride means having unripe ego which creates a difference or separateness between me and God. We shall come to this point later on. Another word is dainya. Dainya means humility. Humility does not mean lack of self-esteem or a sense of worthlessness, or even does not mean a showy humility. Real humility in devotion comes from total surrender to God, which leads to the awareness that I am an instrument through which God alone works. I am an instrument through which God alone is working. This is humility in bhakti. It is not showiness or a outward only appearance of humility, which Swami Vivekananda, of course, very much criticized, only that lip service humility, but inside there might be lot of ego and pride. And pride and ego inhibit intimacy. To come together, lovers need to drop their ego and pride. The more ego, the more pride, that is unripe ego, we have, the more difficult it is for us to have intimacy with someone. Pride and ego interfere in attaining intimacy with God. And meekness and humility allow one to come closer to God. Now, in all other paths, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, the success in the path depends upon one's conscious efforts. In Jnana Yoga, I am inquiring, I am doing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. In Karma Yoga, I am doing the unselfish work. In Raja Yoga, I am meditating. So the charge or the burden is always on me. I have to do this, I have to do that. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, as we have seen so far, the central practice is devotional surrender to God. What Sri Ramakrishna used to say, naham naham tuhu tuhu. That is, not me, but God, you. Not me, but you. So devotional surrender attenuates pride and makes us humble before God. So Bhakti Yoga brings intimacy with God sooner than the other paths. How? Through devotional surrender. In that sense, Bhakti is superior to other paths. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that there are two types of sadhana, two types of practice, or two types of sadhaka. In Sanskrit it is called Markatavat and Marjaravat. The monkey way and the kitten way. Monkey way means the baby monkeys always try to cling to mother. Try to cling to mother monkey. That is, it is the babies have to cling on to. But for a kitten, it is absolutely, totally dependent on God. Wherever the mom keeps it, and it is assured there. Wherever mom keeps me, I am safe and secure there. So the kitten way and the monkey way. So the bhakti, para bhakti is the kitten way. Total devotional surrender to God. And through that devotional surrender, what happens is our unripe ego, our pride, which separates us from God, which is a barrier to attaining intimacy with God, that gets lessened and lessens. In that way, in Bhakti Yoga, one becomes intimate with God, achieves intimacy with God sooner than the other paths. So, in that case, will worldly identities vanish for a devotee? The answer is no. All the other identities that we are having, for example, I am a father of someone, I am son of someone, I am husband, I am daughter, I am wife, I am in regard to I am an employee, all those identities will become secondary. All those identities, egos, will become secondary. The primary identity will be related to God. I am a devotee of God, I am a child of God. Interestingly, we can draw a parallel between this concept of identity and habits. This is interesting. Recently, a book came out which gained very much popularity called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. How to change our habits and why we fail to change our habits. So the main thesis of the book is that there are three components involved. The first one, the outermost component is change in behavior. Okay, when we are trying to incorporate some habit, making some new habit, what we are aiming for is trying to change our behavior. For that, the second component is trying to do something so that that desired behavior changes happen. But the author says that the most important part, the core part, is changing our attitude about ourselves, what we think about ourselves. That is, it requires a paradigm shift about about how we want to see ourselves. So according to the author, most important part is to change our identity to achieve that kind of desired changes. Okay, so for example, if we are, say, trying to inculcate the healthy habit of, say, daily physical exercises, so instead of only trying to do workouts every day, sticking to the routine, the author says that it is more important to think ourselves that we are health conscious being. I am a health conscious being who takes their health seriously, and I am destined to become a fit person. With this change of attitude about ourselves, the habits become easier to pick up. So here too, in Bhakti Yoga too, Bhakti practices becomes easier and fruitful when we change our identity, as when we start seeing ourselves in relation to God. If I start practicing thinking myself that I am child of God, friend of God, all the other activities and practices then orient themselves to foster or reinforce this identity, that God-centric identity. And one more practical implication of this aphorism is that most of our thoughts are related to our identities and the roles we play. If I am now identifying myself as an office employee, then thoughts related to office will arise. And this is particularly true during meditation. The identity, the roles we have during the meditation, that kind of thoughts come up during meditation. And suppose if we sit for a meditation, and when we are sitting before the picture of God or whatever, and for that time being, if we can think that we are nobody before God, we have no other identity. God alone is the reality. And if we can live, it is not easy, but if we can, even for a moment, even for a few moments, leave all our identities and roles at the door of the shrine, then we shall see that meditation becomes so much more fruitful and satisfactory. And that is what Swami Brahmananda used to say, that before doing meditation, the first or important goal is to empty our mind, and then become receptive to divine grace. So the being receptive before God happens when we can leave aside all other identities and stick on to only one identity, which is my relationship with God. Okay, say I am a devotee of God, and now I am sitting before God. All other identities now will take a backstage. This attitude will allow us to feel more intimate with God. And from this aphorism, it might appear that literally it means God loves, those who practice bhakti. Does it mean that then God hates Jnani, Karma Yogi, or Raja Yogi? The answer is no. It is to praise bhakti, superiority of bhakti or uniqueness of bhakti. It has been said that God is averse to pride and fond of humility. So fond of humility refers to the path of bhakti, and God loves it. But it does not mean God really hates others. So what is the summary of this aphorism? Summary of the aphorism is, in bhakti, devotional surrender is the main practice. Through devotional surrender, unripe ego, which is the result, which causes this, I think, hubristic pride, this unripe ego is attenuated and humility is achieved. Humility is achieved. When humility is achieved and unripe ego is attenuated, the devotee, comes closer to God. So, in that sense, bhakti is superior to other paths because through bhakti, this intimacy with God comes sooner than the other paths. Okay, one more aphorism we can take today, and this is about relationship between bhakti and jnana, bhakti and knowledge, or bhakti and wisdom. Aphorism 28. Tassaha jnanameva sadhanam itteke. Tassaha jnanam eva sadhanam iti eke. Let's recite this aphorism together. Tassaha jnanam eva sadhanam iti eke. Tassaha jnanam eva sadhanam iti eke. And the syntax is like this: eke iti eva jnanam sadhanam tassaha. Eke means some, iti, say that, eva, only, jnanam, knowledge, sadhanam is the means, tassaha, to bhakti. Some say that only knowledge is the means to bhakti. Some say that only knowledge is the means to bhakti. In this aphorism, Narada is presenting one viewpoint, not his own viewpoint about the relationship between bhakti and jnana, but someone else's. So some means followers of Advaita Vedanta. For example, Acharya Shankara in Vivek Chudamani says, what is bhakti? Bhakti is constant thought on one's true nature, real nature. So constant thought on one's real nature, that is bhakti. For such people who have such kind of practices, they think that knowledge is the only means to achieve parabhakti. So the word jnanam, knowledge, it might mean two things. The first meaning of knowledge is this, the ultimate wisdom, knowing oneself as the spirit. Aham brahmasmi, that experience, that is knowledge. Knowing that I am one with God. They say that will make me love God the most. They quote Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, where Sri Krishna says that among 4 types of devotees who come to me, the Jnani is Eka Bhakti Vishishvate. Jnani has one-pointed devotion to me. Jnani alone have love for God alone. And they say this, the logic is this, that about love they quote the portion from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, mantra 2.4.5. The discussion in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is from Yagnavalkya and Maitreyi. There says, Yagnavalkya, the discussion is about what a human being loves the most. The Upanishads comes to the conclusion that there is one thing that everyone loves the most. Everyone loves oneself the most. We love others as long as it is favorable for us. The fact that everybody loves oneself. Nobody loves anything else. Even if anything else is loved, it is only conditional love. What is the condition? The object of love should be favorable for me. Its favorability is the condition. The moment the object of love becomes unfavorable to me, I try to get out of that relationship. I stop loving. So Upanishad gives a beautiful logic. It says, if love towards God must be highest, unconditional, it is possible only under one condition. And the condition is what? God should not be away from or different from me. When I am God or identical, God love is equal to self-love. Since self-love is the highest, love for God will also be the highest. And for a Jnani alone, God and self have become one. Therefore, for a Jnani alone, God love is equal to self-love. Therefore, it is the highest love, Eka Bhakti. So, in that way, they say a Jnani can only have this supreme devotion. Why? Because the Jnani identifies, knows that God is nothing other than my own self. So, and since everybody loves their self the most, they love God the most. Who? The Gyanis. That is the meaning of the term Jnana. Second meaning of the Jnana is the path of Jnana Yoga. Since Jnani becomes endowed with one-pointed devotion, it stands to reason that the path of Jnana Yoga will lead to Parabhakti. So the practice of Jnana Yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, which ultimately lead to the Jnana, to the knowledge that I am not different from God. So this practice of Jnana Yoga, Shravana, Manana and Nidhyasana, they are the only means to Parabhakti. So the followers of Jnana Yoga say that through Jnana Yoga alone, one can attain Parabhakti. Okay. And Narada, this is not Narada's one view, his own viewpoint. Narada will present his own viewpoint in aphorism number 30 before taking up another viewpoint. So Narada is neither accepting nor criticizing the claim that Jnana alone is the practice for bhakti. But he is reserving his comment for aphorism 30. He will say what he himself feels about bhakti. Okay, so these are the two aphorisms for today, and we shall see the other aphorisms after summer recess. So as I announced today, this is the last class before summer recess begins. Next, we shall meet on September 17th, Friday. And during this recess, we shall do well too if we learn to practice the chantings that we have learned, the 6 peace chants, and if we can memorize them. I mean, if we can chant those verses, chant those mantras without even looking at them, that will be a great thing. Then another homework could be to go through the review of what we have studied so far. If not all the classes, then at least the review classes where we kind of in a tabular form, we try to see the salient features of the aphorisms. Okay, with this homework, I leave you until we meet after summer recess. Of course, we shall have our guided meditation today. Okay, and let me see what are the questions I have got. Okay, so question is good. Are most human beings following the monkey way or the kitten way? I believe the kitten way comes in later as we mature as humans. Can you elaborate this concept a bit more substantively? Yes, a good question. I will try and decide on Saturdays. Can I get the Devanagari versions later next week? Yes, I shall send you. For Raja Yoga, 8 steps. For Jnana Yoga, SMNM, are there steps to Bhakti Yoga? Yes, we shall come to them. Yeah, I shall come to them. The steps. Bhakti Yoga, they are not Sabana Marana Nidhyasana, like not that. Central step of Bhakti Yoga is surrender. And the surrenders are practiced in different ways, like puja, like prayer. There are no clear-cut 1, 2, 3 steps. Even Raja Yoga, the steps we say, they are not steps in the sense that one comes only after the other. What it means are all of them needs to be practiced together. Then now coming to the question, are most human beings following the monkey way or the kitten way? That's a great question. And without going into philosophy, I had this question. I put this question before my guru at the very beginning of my spiritual life, that what we should do, trying to assert ourselves in doing spiritual practices, or try to surrender to God. So my guru was that he used to answer in very few words, okay, but very powerful, very strong. So he said, both will go hand in hand. Okay, so kitten way and monkey way, both we have to do hand in hand. We have to do our spiritual practice. We have to exert ourselves in doing spiritual practices. At the same time, after doing everything, we have to also surrender to God whatever we have done. Okay, so both of them should be hand in hand going. So the kitten way is also a practice for us. Kitten way is also a practice for us until it becomes natural for us. Okay. Any other question? Okay, so the announcement here is tomorrow we shall celebrate Guru Purnima here, outdoors, in the Shankara Mount at 7:30. 7:30. So it is open for all, for in public. Will there be Sunday services during the summer recess? No. 25th, next Sunday is our last Sunday service, and we shall resume on 12th September with guest lecturer Swami Ishadhyanananda ji of St. Louis. He will give the guest lecture. Guest lecture. All right. So I will take 1 minute of break, and then we shall do the guided meditation. Yes. Indeed, I was thinking what to whether to take the recess or not. I mean, whether to continue the Narada Bhakti Sutra classes during the recess. Then I have to go to two places, at least to two places during these vacations. Okay, so it will be interactive. So both the weeks will be on Fridays will be covered. So I said, okay, let's do it. The entire recess should be given to. Okay.